Ago, Milton Friedman remarked, if you put the federal government in charge of the Sahara Desert, in 5 years there'd be a shortage of sand. While Friedman was discussing price controls and output restrictions in oil and gas in Dubai, this same logic can be applied to the U.S. Postal Service. In 2020, Congress was promised that a $107 billion bailout would put the post office out of the roll and out of the hole it has been within 3 or 4 years. We were also told that the USPS operations would break even by 2031. Postmaster DeJoy sat in front of our committee in August of that year and stated, I am absolutely convinced that with some help from Congress and our regulator, we can do it, and that there is a bright future ahead for the post office. I argued against giving more taxpayer money to the Postal Service, suggesting that private business would be better at managing ongoing costs by making the necessary cuts. Unfortunately, my concerns have proven to be correct. The Postal Service's Delivering for America initiative, the bailout, was expected to yield quick results. However, the Post Office lost $6.5 billion in 2023 and is set to lose $9.5 billion in 2024. That doesn't sound like progress. They were losing $1 billion a quarter, now they're losing $2 billion a quarter. Only in Washington can someone point to losing $2 billion a quarter as a success. Given the continued financial shortfalls, it is entirely nonsensical for the USPS to convert more than 190,000 service workers into career roles since October 2020. If this were a private business, you'd be doing the opposite. If you were a unionized corporation in one state, what do? They actually move to another state and open a non-unionized in a right-to-work state, and that's how they continue to exist. Corporations don't add to their misery by adding and increasing their labor costs. These career roles, government career roles, effectively allow those workers to make 50% more per hour and create decades of benefits responsibilities that will make breaking even in the future even more difficult. When we had pension problems in Kentucky, we did the opposite. We ended up changing from a pension. We went to a contribution plan, and then we gradually are fixing it. It's still taking a long time because we had the old obligations, but we gradually figured out how to go to a new plan where we wouldn't be stuck with all these pensions. These positions are of insourcing jobs that were provided at lower cost before by private partners, so we're increasing the cost of the post office. During the Postal Service Reform Act, I argued that no funding should be given to USPS without changes to its labor practices and cost. Instead, no labor changes were made, and now Americans are left holding the bag of an ever more bloated Postal Service. The Postal Service has tried to explain away these bad numbers due to the costs that USPS cannot control. But the service is spending $9.6 billion on electric delivery vehicles and spending nearly $40 billion over 10 years to convert and build certain facilities into hubs that so far have resulted in worse delivery and services. In order to keep making these infrastructure updates, the Postal Service is asked to raise its $15 billion borrowing limit with the Treasury Department. Hardly sounds like a success. Private sector companies deal with uncontrolled costs all the time, including the same factors USPS faces like inflation, and they find a way to provide for their owners and shareholders. But they don't do it by adding more union employment. USPS would count for the uncontrollable costs in their budget and stop coming to Congress. You know, you guys should try to fix the problems that keep coming back and asking for more. This hasn't stopped Congress, though, from throwing even more money at the Postal Service. For those counting, that's $120 billion in funding and relief in the past 4 years alone. While $120 billion is already an astounding number on its own, when you consider the sum relative to our nation's dismal fiscal condition, it suddenly becomes reckless. We're over $36 trillion in debt. It's time to do something different. What we're not seeing is anything different at the post office, and I, for one, say it's about time we have some reform.
Thank you, Ranking Member Paul. It is the practice of this committee to swear in witnesses, so Mr. Joy, if you'd please stand and raise your right hand. You swear that the testimony you will give before this committee will be the truth, the whole truth,